Is there a strong teachers union in
Oh
Alberta?
yes, very strong.
And there was when I was in Ontario.
Mhm.
So a lot of critics of the U.S. system would say, well, those darn teacher unions, they're horrible. They're destroying our kids. We won't ever be able to move up. But yet, as I research and look at many of these high-performing top 10 PISA countries, many of them have strong teacher unions. So it doesn't seem like that argument really has a lot to do with it. Do you think having a strong teacher union is a bad thing? Does it affect the learning of kids?
Oh no, I don't think so. Conversely, I think that it does help them, because even in Alberta, all of our teachers want a bit more planning time to be able to prepare classes and so on.
Okay.
So it's an ongoing type of a situation.
Okay. One of the things that I also see in some of these top 10 PISA countries that I don't see in the U.S. is teacher quality. Not only in terms of the aptitude and basically what it takes to actually get into a teacher university or training college. The standards, as I understand it, and I talk to a lot of people in Ontario, are pretty darn high in Canada. And so, for example, there's some pretty good research that would support that U.S. teachers as a whole, if you look at a given university, come from about the bottom quartile, okay? And in Canada, they draw from about the top quartile. What is your opinion on this? Do you think this is true? And if you do, how important is actually getting those top people to go in to be a teacher, number one? And number two, do you think it makes a big difference in the long run? To start with the top.
Okay, Keith. I think there are many different factors in this particular situation. Personally, since I retired, I've been working for 19 years and mentoring and evaluating student teachers.
Sure.
And this is in a special situation because I only work in the area where it's for immersion and also francophone students. So in our case, since Canada is a bilingual country, everything is done in French in these particular areas.
Sure.
But in these areas, and just as an example, we mentor the students, we work with them, we coach them, and the students that do, they have high standards to achieve to be able to get into the workforce.
Right.
And secondly, the rate structure is quite good in the area of remuneration for teachers, so it does attract good student teachers also.
What you're saying is good compensation?
A good compensation, plus the fact that the standards are quite high.
Right.
And to be able to achieve this level,
right,
they have to obtain very good marks, for example.
Exactly.
And so on. Yeah.
It's pretty much known that if you couldn't get into a teacher training college in Canada, which I've heard, that they're very well controlled in terms of quality. For example, in the U.S., you can go about anywhere and get a teacher training credential on the internet. Anybody pretty much can be a teacher in the U.S. Really, that's the way this system is set up. And the teachers were telling me in Canada, well, if you can't get into a college, those that can't, and it's very difficult to do, all you need to do is cross the border into the U.S. and then.
Well, I'm not aware of that, but I know that these standards are quite demanding,
right,
and we go into many different areas, teaching expertise,
okay,
and how the student is ready, what type of student go into it, and the ones who graduate have to have not only the technical, but also to be able to the professional abilities to be a good teacher.
Okay. Are you aware how many days a year the kids go to school over there?
They're close to I would say 200 days.
200 days a year.
180 to 200.
Okay. In the U.S., it's about between 175 and 180.
Okay, so it's quite close.
Quite close.
Yes.
What can you think of any of the other things that you can? You were mentioning maybe the immigrants that come in.
Yes.
And do you feel many of these immigrants, at least to what I saw up in Ontario, were so many Chinese and Indian? And do you feel that they've helped augment in the system?
Well, I think it helps in a few different areas. We have the immigrants, as you mentioned, that come for highly technical jobs
Right.
in Alberta, Saskatchewan, for example,
Sure.
because there is a huge demand at this particular time,
Right.
and they bring skills. And also, as you well know, these people being highly educated,
Right.
and they have certain demands of the teachers. So we do have to meet these requirements.
And of their kids.
And of their kids.
Right.
And it's definitely in that area that it does help. But on the other hand, too, we have immigrants from all over the world, so it
Right.
is global. And so we have to adapt and adopt a kind of some innovative technology areas,
Right.
and also teaching areas to help everyone, and it enriches our programs.
Right. But the majority, as I understand it, the majority of the immigrants coming into Canada are Chinese and Indian, the majority, and they're basically pretty well educated and have skills and or money.
Yes, in these
Right.
areas. Plus the fact, though, in cultural, which helps in the diversity of Canada, we have a lot of people now that are coming from the Philippines
Sure.
and Africa, but it makes also quite a good cultural mix too. So it's not only high achieving, but it's we have to adapt to a whole lot of things.
Okay. How about technology? As I go around many of these countries in the world, I don't see a lot of technology. I don't see a lot of smart boards. I don't see a lot. For example, in the U.S., in my school, every kid's got an iPad, and so that's kind of the U.S. secret weapon. iPads, technology. That's how we're going to lift ourselves out of these kind of pretty mediocre, dismal rankings in the World PISA rankings. I saw some technology over in the York district, some iPads, some computers, but I didn't see this everybody's going to get an iPad and that's the way it's all going to go. What do you see up in Alberta, and what do you think technology is? Do you think that's a great way to improve education, or what's your take on this?
Well, the way I see it, it's good to have technology as a tool.
Correct.
Now, if you don't have also the expertise of the teacher who has the art of teaching, it's quite difficult. But if you get if you merge those two together, you could get a very good product in education. And in quite a few of our schools, for example, in Edmonton, where I go with my student teachers, they do have smart boards in the different classrooms. Now, these people could use them simply as a white chalkboard and keep on writing in these, and it doesn't help that. It's not any greater than a whiteboard.
Right.
But on the other hand, if they go into the different areas and go into the internet and draw some programs on there, they can do all kinds of things. And I've seen marvelous results in the instruction. So it enhances the skills for the persons who have the art of teaching.
There was a fair amount of vocational training over around Toronto that I saw. A lot more than there certainly is in the United States. For those kids that don't necessarily want to go to college, and that's probably the majority in the U.S. that really aren't going to go to college, even though we all tell everybody they are going to go to college. The statistics would point different. That you know, a lot of the Northern European countries that I visited, there was an incredible vocational programs. Is this happening up in your area? Do you see much vocational education at the high school level?
Well, Keith, now this is really the situation in Alberta, because there's starting to be a shift. And we did go the other way. We all went to university education,
Sure.
But we need now a lot of skilled workers, which we are not getting. And we have shortages of skilled workers. So now we see the schools are converting a lot of these areas which were labs that were just changed around, and they're going into these areas where they will be using all of these technology for vocational use. So and we see all kinds of these special computers now that are used in these work areas
Right.
to help these students who will go into vocational programs, because we need quite a few of these people in the vocational areas.
So so this is a big trend. You're seeing this more and more.
Oh, we're seeing it definitely.
Right.
Yeah, and that would be provincial-wise by the government. So it comes from top up and top down, and also everyone in the area sees it because